Greetings, welcome to Intro to Game Design using GameLab. For our project that you're going to go kind of complete throughout the year, I just want to go over a couple things. So hopefully you watch this at the beginning of the course and not the end of the course. But you are going to build a full complete game as we go through this, and most of the weeks you'll have a little piece, but they don't all necessarily have to be part of it. So for example, right, when we get to lesson 10, you're going to build a scene. You're going to have very specific requirements on how you build that scene. But for the actual end project, you can just use a background for your scene if that's what you choose. But again, make sure you're paying attention to the requirements for each of the lessons, and they're going to help you build. And again, you also don't have to have the same. If you build a scene and you choose to change the game, that's fine. But the point of this course is as you're going, you're kind of building your game with you. But I wanted to point some things out because, and it'll be stated in the requirements and everything, but I wanted to show you the do's and don'ts and some examples of what you can and can't do because of what we're already doing in the course. So real quick, let's just kind of look at this. Remember, this is not a how to do the final project. There's another video for that. But you can see requirements. You need to use velocities, collision. As you're moving through, you're gonna learn all these different skills, and you need to integrate them. And there's many different ways to do it. But again, I'm going to be using one game to show you how to do all of this. And as you'll see down here, you have your limitations. It can't be Pong or Pong-like because I'm going to build that for you. And we're going to build a side scroller in lesson 20, so you can't do that. Now, what does that mean? What is Pong? Well, all right, Pong, right? So this is the game we are going to build in class. So you can't just turn this in because we are building this in class. So can't do Pong. The other one is a side scroller because you're going to build something like this in your thing. And in fact, you'll see this in your lesson 20 as an example of how to do lesson 20. So you can't do this. I'm calling a side scroller, right? Because I mean, some of them actually look like they're moving. Like this one is another example, which you saw in the original lessons as we're going through. So again, you can't do something like this. We're going to do something very, very similar in lesson 20. So if you do something like this, then either you're not going to do lesson 20 because you already did it, or again, you're going to build the same app, right? And again, it can't be similar, right? You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to change this to Mario and now it's a different game, or I have fireballs, so I'm not collecting anything, right? I'm going to count how many times I jump over a fireball. Again, no, if it's a side scroller like this, it doesn't count. Again, same concept as this. This is a slightly different version of the side scroller and how you do stuff. Again, if it goes across like that, it doesn't count. If it looks mostly like Pong or works, I mean, just because you change this to a soccer ball and soccer players, I have a few students do that. That doesn't count, right? It's essentially Pong. If the mechanics are the same as Pong, if you're using this code, essentially the same code, right? This code is the same stuff, so you can't do that. Now, what can you do? Well, I'll give you some examples, and there was a good one already in this. Now, this is not a complete game by any means, right? There's no end point, you'd fly off the screen, but this is an example, right? This is what I would call a platformer. You could also, just make, any kind of platformer out there, right? You can make a platformer. You can make Flappy Bird, right? Letting you know this is not actually GameLab, this is the Hour of Code, but you can make a Flappy Bird. We all know what Flappy Bird is, and there's different variations on how you can do that. That's fine. Some kind of Space Invader type game. I've also seen like asteroids where asteroids are flying down at you and you can shoot at them too. So again, something like this is fine, right? Something where you're shooting at something, but you can't do that side scroller game or anything similar to Pong, right? I wanted to point that out there now, and I'll say this during the lessons, but if you do it, you're just not going to be able to get a grade because we've already done it. Like I'm doing this for you. So you can't take credit for something I already did, and then we're going to do this as lesson 20, so you can't double dip and say, well, it meets the requirements. And both of these, and that's the whole point of this, right, is to get you to get practice with this before you get your final project turned in. Both of these technically meet all of these requirements. That's why I'm showing you, that's why I'm doing Pong, is so I can show you how to make all those requirements. These games meet all the 3 3 sprites moving around, blah, 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 interact with each other. Again, I'm not going over all those details. You'll get that in the different lessons, but I just want to point out some ideas of what you can and can't do for this project. Because again, I got a lot of students that just turn in something that's they already turned in for something else, and that does not count. You have to build a game that is different than those two. All right, that's all I have. Thanks for watching.